Okay, Nate?
Yes. Sequence for tonight will be as follows. Peter is going to review with you the revised tax impact sheets because of the change that we had in health insurance rates. I believe the board had been notified, and also members of the budget committee. We had budgeted 10%. The school care rates came in at 3.3. The net result is a $411,000 difference. So Peter's going to walk you through that. And then I will regale you with personnel. Brian will, and Kim will address special education. Gail will do school to career. Andy will do music, and Kobe will do athletics. That will be the sequence for this evening.
Okay. Before we get rolling, Mr. Young has an announcement.
And
Thanks, Nate.
thank you for allowing this. I was approached this evening by Al Baldessaro, and just a short announcement. He's looking to gather together veterans. They're having a meeting of veterans to discuss services, improvements to the VA hospital. The VA hospital here in New Hampshire is the only hospital in the country that's not a full-service VA hospital, and veterans need to travel to Massachusetts or Vermont in order to get full services. The meetings are planned for Thursday, December 6th, at the Keene American Legion Post between 7 and 8 p.m. Friday, December 7th, from 9 to 10 p.m. in Portsmouth, and that's at the Disabled American Veterans. And those of you in Londonderry, you don't need to travel to any of those places, and they are looking to get as many veterans out as possible. They will be gathered in this room from 1 to 2 o'clock on Friday, December 7th, and this all occurs during Pearl Harbor Week. They're looking to gather a good group in here because they'll be doing a DVD and then distributing that to the state. So at 1 to 2 o'clock here at the Moose Hill Conference Room on December 7th.
Just to let everyone know, it's my intention to end this meeting at 9:30. We will get to that point. If we don't get what we said we were going to cover, we have one extra day in the process to continue it on. So we'll be ending the meeting at 9:30 or thereabouts, just so we'll finish that subject we're on. Thank you. Nate?
Yes, sir. Peter?
Yes, I passed out to the, I believe the school board members have a copy, and I gave a copy to the budget committee. One is the spreadsheet, as we call the tax rate sheet. I also gave a copy of the sheet that calculates how we get the proposed budget and the fall budget, since how this changed. The tax rate sheet, most of it's in the revenue side, nothing really changed there. The second page, we reflect a number that, as Nate mentioned, a change or a drop of just over $400,000. So the new budget, operating budget that we're talking about is $60,618,294. That's an increase of 1.601,795 or 2.71 compared to the original before the adjustment for health insurance of 3.41%. Are you okay with that?
And that's below the default by 53,000, right, Peter?
Yes, the health insurance affected, I'll use the word both sides being the proposed budget and the default budget. On the next page, the health insurance affected, on a positive note, slightly, the warrant article or the article for the support staff negotiations, since health insurance was, or a change of health insurance was included in that. We have now added the cost items for the custodial contract negotiations. And we have kept, obviously, other articles, the generator and the proposed calculated half-year interest if the South School project were to pass. If you go down to next page, we're at the bottom where it says property taxes for education. What you see at the end there is we're looking at now if all articles passed, and that includes, as I like to call it, a true one-time item of the generator that we're proposing for community service, a total increase of 8 cents in the tax rate, which on a $300,000 house is $23 increase for the year. If you do the math in percentage, it's like 0.6% increase in $300,000 house. Do I, what do we want to start off with?
Okay. Dan?
Peter, just to be clear, that the tax rate that's now reflected on the last page, it also includes the petition warrant articles, correct?
Yes, that, at the bottom where it says 1091 for local ed.
Yep.
215 for a total of 1306.
Yep.
That's if all warrant articles on the sheet passes. The operating budget, the generator, the 2 articles for negotiations, the half-year interest,
Right?
the 250 for fields.
Well, just to be clear, those are petition articles.
Yes,
Yes.
but all those articles
Okay,
add up to an 8-cent increase.
thank you.
Steve.
And without those articles, what was the increase?
If you take out, what I did really quick, might help you.
Well, instead of the, because it would be a fraction of a cent, so the dollar,
Which articles do you,
just take them all out. Just talking about the budget, the increase is how much?
It'd be
I believe you
Increase.
said it at the beginning.
2.71% increase, general fund budget, without the,
or 12 cents?
The state property tax portion, that's an estimate.
Yes.
We don't find out about that until the summer. How certain are we that that's correct?
What I was told was that their best guess was, it was somewhere below, just below $2, $2.20. So I went down to $2.15.
And just so the voters understand, they get to vote at the polls in March on this budget with an estimate of what the state will be giving us in August
Yes.
in statewide school funding.
right?
Now,
it's
what
a hard-
happens though is, if the property tax were, say, 220, but that would also calculate on a higher revenue number on the first page. So that would lower
Right.
what we call the local ed property tax. So that's why when Nate and I look at this, we say total property taxes for educational services is $13.06.
So would it be fair to say that whatever the state determines, whatever they give us in August, effectively will not have an effect, effectively will not change the numbers we're looking at tonight?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, just a point of clarification. Have you guys actually received a petition article for the fields?
Yes,
You have?
yep,
Okay. Thanks.
and the coaching.
Yeah, I figured that. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing none?
Okay, all right, we're gonna work on personnel as first thing. The personnel budget presently sits at $35,800,357. That represents 59% of the general fund budget and a 2.6% increase over this year's budget. Personnel budget of $34,884,556. What I'd like to do is start off by giving you an overview. What is covered in this portion of the budget are salaries for certified and non-certified, salaries for temporary positions like alternative ed, adult ed, substitutes, overtime, stipends for curriculum work or course development, summer school, salaries for temporary staff such as coaching and co-curricular. All right? What I'd like to do is kind of frame this so that we can discuss it in more detail, but you've got a general framework.
Nate, the section you're in is the district office section?
Yes, it's personnel. It would start on page 241. I'm sorry. Okay. I want to give you some summary information. I'm going to give you some totals based on full-time equivalents so that you get an understanding of the depth and breadth of this section of the budget. Staff breakdown in this budget goes as follows. Administration, 38.5 FTEs. Teachers, 425.2 FTEs. Allied health, which is OT, PTs, nurses, 32. Support staff, we do in hours because of the variations that we have, represents 1,616.1 hours per day. Non-affiliated staff, we have 4 full year, 5 FTEs for school year, 52 hours for full year, and 8 hours for school year. And custodial grounds and maintenance staff, 371.5 hours. To give you another look at it, I'm going to give you body count numbers. Now, body count numbers are different than FTEs. Body count is everybody that works with us, as opposed to, that includes, we count somebody who works 3 hours a day as an aide, that counts as 1. But I want to give you an understanding of the staffing that we have here. Administration, 39, teachers, 451, allied health, 36, support staff, 313, custodian and grounds, 46, non-affiliated, 18, and food service, 40. That gives you a total of 943 people. An interesting little statistic, of the 943, 13 people live in Massachusetts, 1 person lives in Maine. That's 1.4% of our staff live out of state. 456, or 48%, live in town. The remainder live in surrounding communities. We have 179 males, 764 females. Gives you 943, just to give you an idea of the breakdown. And what's very interesting is almost half the people who are employed in the district live in town. Also, too, I think it's, when we look at this, we have co-curricular activities. There are a total of 174 co-curricular and coaching positions in the district. We have 75 positions at the coaching positions, 73 at the high school, 28 at the middle school. High school co-curricular, 32 positions. Middle school co-curricular, 29, and elementary positions are 10. We talk from time to time about the amount of time and effort it takes to do reports. And what we thought would be interesting to for the board to have, and also for members of the budget committee, would be the amount of man-hours, man/female hours, that it takes to complete state-required reports. There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 74 to 76 state-required reports that we have to file on a yearly basis. And these are done by Chuck, library staff, the assistant superintendent. Material has to be put together by assistants, payroll department, building level administrators, HR, and so on. Total number of hours comes to 8,587 hours a year. If we had if we did it 8 hours a day, and you had this person, a person work 8 hours a day, not go to lunch, and had the greatest kidneys in the world, that would come to 1,073.3 days. A 7-hour day would make it 1,226.7 days. And some of these positions, some of this time is spent for revenue generation. For instance, the time that we spend compiling the report for Nessus and for Medicaid, rather, and for CAD aid, those are revenue generating hours, because, just to give you an example, Medicaid takes us somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,412 hours to put all that stuff together. That's the assistants and the teachers calculating the amount of time the kids are spending doing certain activities, reimbursable activities, the amount of time that they spend here in the district office, Kim does, in compiling all that information and then pulling all that information together. And in return, we get $200,000. We're projecting we're going to get $200,000 in Medicaid, which is less this year than in previous years, simply because the federal government is looking at cutting back on Medicaid. But I thought it was a very interesting exercise to go through that state and federal required reports. And what I haven't included in here is the amount of time it takes us to do the state testing, and we're going to work on that. 8,587 hours. So when people wonder where the time went, there you go. The other thing, too, that I think is of note, we believe, our organization, as far as personnel is concerned, and actually all aspects, we look at it as being a dynamic organization, trying to adjust our particular needs based on the needs of the students and program, and as things laid out in the strategic plan, and making adjustments regarding enrollment or changes in services. Since 2006, we have reduced a total of 53.2 hours of clerical time per day. So basically, we're looking at, on a yearly basis, 9,576 hours less in '09 than we had in '06, as far as clerical and assistant time is concerned. And we have also, as the board is aware, members of the Budget Committee are aware, made significant adjustments in certified staff over that same period of time. But I thought that was an interesting number to look at. Okay, let's move right into page 241, which is our addition and swap page, and give this a framework. Starting off at the top, the continued reorganization of high school clerical staff. As the board is aware, we have eliminated a clerical position in the principal's office. The net reduction in the budget will be $20,231. We have also continued to look to develop in-house special education programs that will have a direct cost avoidance. To that extent, we are, in that vein, we're doing the following. We're recommending the hiring of an additional teacher at the middle school for the Friends 3 program. We have a number of youngsters moving up who have PDD and autism, and we need that position at the middle school. To fully staff that position, we are recommending the movement of 12 hours of sped assistant time, 6 from South and 6 from one of our all-elementary programs, up to the middle school. Our enrollment at LEAP continues to grow. We anticipate that we will have 56 special education students in the LEAP program. Over the course of a year, we go from October to October, we see about a 38% increase in the number of kids in the LEAP program. And right now, in some of our classes, we're running a class size of 18. We think that's too high. The additional position, which is a transfer from Matthew Thornton, and the additional 12 hours of LEAP assistant time, which will be transfers from Matthew Thornton and North, will allow us to fully fund that program. And the net, if we add up the cost of salaries and benefits and what the avoidance would be if we had to send those, not only the LEAP kids out for tuition and transportation, but also the youngsters at the middle school, would be a net cost avoidance of $145,722. As far as the rest of the staffing is concerned, we're looking at it in the following way. The aforementioned Matthew Thornton teacher to the LEAP program, it's a special ed. 6 hours of Matthew Thornton assistance time to LEAP, that's 6 hours. North assistant time, 6 hours of North assistant time to LEAP, 6 hours. South teacher to the high school, and we're dropping one special ed teacher at South, and we're going to transfer that position to the high school because we need an additional case manager at the high school. Right now, we're projecting that we'll have 384 special ed students at the high school. If we didn't have a change, the case manager caseload in 9th grade would be 39 kids. By transferring that position, we'll have 26 kids as a caseload for the 9th grade case managers. The South assistant to the middle school, that's for the Friends 3 program, which I mentioned. All elementary assistant to the Friends 3 programs, another 6 hours. High school teacher from South, that's an add-in, that's the transfer that I had talked about. We're also recommending an additional 20 days for the high school program director. We have a total of 361 kids Presently, we're going to 384 special ed kids up at the high school. Thus, we've seen an enrollment increase. In the past 5 years, we've added and enhanced and increased in-house special ed programs, the EH program, the FLEX program, which is for autistic kids. We've expanded the ACT program, which is for developmental disabilities. A large number of the high school kids are on a 12-month program and have an extended school year. And this the coordinator at the high school is responsible for supervision and evaluation of 70 people. So we believe that 20 extra days is more than justified. We're dropping a tenth of a PE person at one PE position at the middle school, one regular ed position. Actually, we'll be dropping 2 teaching positions at Matthew Thornton. We have one that shows up here. I'm holding one in abeyance, and you'll see in the budget as we go through that additional position is still in the Matthew Thornton budget. Right now, we're running at about, our projections are for 5th grade at North School, 25.2 students on average for 5th grade. If we have another summer, like we did this summer, where most of our move-ins were in grades 4 and 5, we could get a tip-over number in 5th grade at North School. If, in fact, we get a tip-over number there, then it would be my intent to move that second position to North School to get a reasonable class size. And as the principals go through their presentations, you'll see exactly how the class sizes break down. But we're dropping 2 positions from Matthew Thornton. I'm holding one possible at North School. Matthew Thornton, 6 hours of instructional assistant time is going down. We're dropping 40% of a foreign language teacher at the high school. That is the Latin position. We have not had the prerequisite enrollment for that. Matthew Thornton, we're dropping a tenth of a PE position from the budget, a tenth of an art position from Matthew Thornton. North, tenth of an art teacher. North, a tenth of a gifted and talented position, and South, a tenth of a PE position. We're also recommending a reduction of 3 hours a day, 1 hour at each of the elementary schools for the computer ed assistant, and we are recommending that we have 5 additional co-curricular positions at the high school. The 5 positions are as follows. The BioConnect Club, presently we have about 30 or 40 kids that are participating in this club at this point in time. Video Radio Club, we anticipate we have students interested in that, and that would be a nice extension for our mass communications pathway. We anticipate 20 students. Students for Global Change, this is another very positive program. We currently have about 20 active members meeting once a week. Future Business Leaders of America, we presently have about 20 to 25 students who are meeting weekly or bi-weekly. We'd like to formalize that club. Chess Club, we have many of our students are involved after school playing chess at the high school, approximately 30 students. And we're asking for an increase in the stipend for the math team, going from $219 to $872. The original stipend was set when we had a small number of students participate in one contest in past years. For the past 2 years, we've increased the numbers to over 30 students actively involved on a weekly basis, participating in many local competitions as well. In fact, our team last year won the state title for the first time and participated in national competition. The net, when you net everything out, is a net reduction in staffing costs of $144,920. And cost avoidance of $145,720. It's almost $300,000.
Questions? Go ahead.
Nate, can you tell me how you came up with the 145,722? I think you mentioned about, I don't want to get any closer to
What?
that microphone.
143,872, you mean?
Yeah, the cost-
Sure.
No, 145,722 you got for cost avoidance
Oh, yeah,
in the
okay.
middle of the, in the middle
Sure.
of the sheet, because I thought you mentioned that You were moving a teacher there
correct.
because of the 18 in the class, so how is that a cost avoidance as opposed to, because we wouldn't be sending those kids out, it would just be a bigger class? Or is that, am I correct in that, or am I wrong?
Well, we would have too many kids in the class, and the classes would be overloaded
Too many based on what?
on having,
What we want to have.
that's right.
Okay, but we wouldn't be sending kids out, so I guess what I'm.
No,
what I'm-
the potential would be there that we would have to send students out because we would be overloaded. And we have a number of youngsters that have what I would call significant serious disabilities that could not be attended to appropriately based on their IEP in the LEAP program. So therefore, a number of those students would then have to be placed out of district.
Okay.
Okay, that's where you get that. So what we have here is a transfer of staff members, the middle school assistants and the LEAP teacher and the LEAP assistants, which are drops from the regular program, from the regular special ed program, into this to create a program that is cost avoidance. The brand-new position is the middle school teacher for the Friends 3.
Right.
By not having it, then what we would have to do is those students that were going up to the middle school, we would have to tuition out, and we'd have tuition payment as well as transportation payment. So what we did was, we simply took the cost of the staffing from what it would cost us to have sent those kids out, tuition and transportation, and then you get the net cost avoidance there.
So essentially, this is just another example of, the innovative things that we're doing with our
Correct.
special needs kids.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. And when we get into Brian and Kim's report, and as I had mentioned in my opening statement last week, because we have developed in-house special education programs, we have avoidance of cost of $3.6 million. And if memory serves me, over the last 3-4 years, cost avoidance of $14 million. And another way of looking at it is, if we didn't have these programs, the cost of the faculty and staff would stay in here because that's been subtracted out, and then you add in the tuition and transportation, and that's where you get the 3.5. So the budget would stand $3.5 million, $3.6 million higher,
Thanks, Nate.
okay?
Dan?
Nate, could you run through I don't see the number that you identified of, not the 145, but the additional 140 odd savings?
Yes, if you take, you take the 20,231 on the top, that's the secretarial stuff,
Right?
okay? And you add that to the 124,689.
Okay, you don't add back in the 143, 872?
I took everything into account here, right? If you take all these numbers here in the bottom section, plus the 20,000, that gets you 144,920.
Steve?
But,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
that's the reductions, but wouldn't you also offset that with the 143?
No, it's, the 144 is the reduction, and then what you could, way of looking at it is you add the 143 in as a cost avoidance, so the net cost avoidance and savings is pretty close to $300,000,
I buy the cost avoidance of
Right.
145, I don't have a problem with that.
right?
But the net of the 143, right. Oh, so if you add this second paragraph,
Yes.
they don't equal 124,689?
Right.
Right.
And it's just a subtotal.
Oh, I guess,
Okay.
okay, I guess that
Yeah,
answers it.
sorry.
I thought the
Okay.
same thing,
I
because
just
if you
thought-
look, he's,
Okay,
you
never
do, you
mind.
do a put up top,
You added it?
Right.
the MS assistant,
I understand.
and then you subtract down below.
I'm sorry, Dan, I should
Did
have
the
made
same
it
thing,
clearer.
Dan.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Steve?
Nate, talking in a global nature, if I have specific questions that when the presenters come up,
Thank you.
we can get to, but talking in a global nature, the community, the school district is a little bit different than the town. In the school district, and I don't think that all community members understand this, the school board must approve each and every employee, even if it's a 2-hour aide.
That's correct.
The school district, the school board actually goes through and approves that. And I think that some of the large changes that you've seen, specifically the 253 hours a day in support staff between 2006 and 2009, has been with the guidance of the school board. And we appreciate you taking action on that. On the other side of the equation, well, before we go to the other side, oftentimes during the year, because this budget is a snapshot of what you think you may need,
Right.
but oftentimes, Brian Bulge, the Director of Pupil Services, will come in and with a special case or situation, or we have students that come into the district that we need to service, and we have to add people to the budget, or choose not to add them, depending upon the needs that are there. What about, and that's easy to see, because we sit in the boardroom in a non-public session, we discuss it, and then we vote on it in a public session. What about on the other side? Meaning, you're showing here where you are moving some people around,
Correct.
but where is the visibility to when you eliminate a need in the district? Let's say we had a student that had special needs that needed an aide at their side at all times for medical reasons, but that student moved out of the district. Where do we see that that person is no longer employed by the district?
Okay, in the budget, where you would probably see it would be, and if you look at it, in the charts that are in the special ed section of the budget, you will see the flow of positions. So that, for instance, when we have a drop of students at an elementary school or the middle school, you will see that transfer of hours. And if memory serves, there's a flow chart in the special ed section that shows you where the hours go. If we have a student that needs a one-on-one aide, and that student moves out, then that aide position is gone, and we don't fill those hours any further. What you'll see on the reverse side of that will be when we get it in the middle school special ed assistant, you'll see that we're over on that account. The board remembers we came to you because we had 2 students move in with significant physical disabilities, and who had in their IEPs when they came in, and also in our judgment, needed one-on-one aides. So you'll see that increase in that particular line for those youngsters. So if a youngster moves out, that's the end of it. So it's a one-on-one is the way we do it. We haven't formally come back and said to you on a regular basis, Johnny moved and we're reducing by X number of hours. We just simply don't fill it. There's one other thing too that I kind of glossed over in here and I wanted to mention because I just looked at Ben and it clicked. At the high school, Ben had mentioned several meetings ago, if we put in a new student management system, would we be able to reduce some time at the high school? When he mentioned that, went back and had a discussion with Jim, and you'll see high school attendance monitor, 7 hours, dropped to 3. So we dropped some time with predicated on getting that new student management system because we think we'll be able to pick it up. That's what we've been trying to do on an ongoing basis. And in board members, we dropped several clerical positions at the middle school. We've already dropped some at the high school and at some of the other schools. So we're trying to make adjustments on those things. So when it presents it to us, that we try to make that adjustment. And Ben kind of gave us a little bit of tickle, and so we did it, and it made sense.
When I look at the total adds and swaps and reductions, what is the bottom line to the district? Do we gain any people or do we lose any people?
Lose people.
How many do you?
The only new position actually that is coming in is one. That's the middle school position. So everything else, so as a net drop, if you hold on 1 second, I'll give it to you.
Stole my second question.
PE is 1. The regular ed teacher, Matthew Thornton, makes 2. 0.4, so that's 2.4. 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, so that's 2.9, positions down, add in the one that's 1.9, and then you pick up, hold on a second, 6, 4, that's 10, that's 13, pick up 13 hours of non-certified time.
Okay,
Okay, I'm not, the others are a wash in the sense that they're going up to the other program.
okay. Can I ask you just to have a simple sheet
Sure.
to show what professional staff, the Delta and professional staff, the Delta and support staff, when we do all the adding and subtracting?
Yep, no problem.
The other thing I would like, oh, go ahead, you want to finish?
I'm sorry, no, because to add to that point, I think that what would be interesting to the community is a comparison of the number of students that we've changed in the district. In other words, we've dropped a small number of students in the district. And what changes have we made in the educational staff? And I think Ron's question of the professional staff, that would cover that, so that people can see clearly that we've had this many, this change in students, and we've had this change in instructional staff.
What I'd be happy to do is go back to like 2006 to give you 06, 07, 08, 09, so I can give you like a 4-year. And what we can also show in that is too that, keep in mind that our enrollment population has shifted so that though their positions, as we've come to you, we've said as enrollment drops at certain schools, we've eliminated positions, but at the same time, we had an increase in need at, let's say, the high school or the middle school, and we've reallocated positions there, or we put in a new position to meet a specific need. So we can show you that. That's no problem at all. We'll have that for you next time.
Okay, I've got one more. On the special education, the swaps and how we're doing it, simple 2-column page. Here's what I'm gonna add to the budget. If I don't do this, the bottom line, what is it gonna cost me for my out-of-district placements that I would look to do it? So I have 2 lines there, so there's no confusion. So, you know, if someone picks up the budget and they look at this, there's a page in there that explains exactly why we're adding $143,000 to the budget is to save the $300,000.
That's-
So we have those 2 things.
We can do that.
I'm gonna go to Jay first, and then I'll go to you, Dan. Jay?
I apologize if you've already asked for this, but, and I believe somewhere I was gonna ask if you had all of those numbers you quoted, and I couldn't write it down fast enough that even I'd be able to read it when I was done, but there were 943 human beings.
Right.
Will we get a summary of the number of human beings as well as FTEs? Because you could pick up 0.5 FTEs that is 2 people, or drop 0.5 FTEs that is 1 person. So
Sure.
to put it in perspective, the number of human beings and full-time equivalents, part-time, so that we can sort of see where that.
Sure. And what may also help you too, Jay, is if you take a look, and we can do that, that's no problem. If you take a look starting on page 244 and running through page 258, what we've tried to do in graphic form is give you a breakout by site in graphic form of different distributions of staff, so that, for instance, on 244, you have administration. Then on 245, you have administration, district office, district-wide. And then we break it down by school, okay? And these are all FTEs. But we'd be happy to give you those other numbers. That's easy to do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in other words, looking at page 244, I couldn't tell you how many human beings we're talking about.
Well,
Could I?
That's an easy one.
that one's easy.
Okay.
Because that one's relatively simple. Where you would have a problem would be when you go to the high school, okay? Or to any of the other schools, because what we have to do, for instance, where you have support staff, and I'm just looking at the high school, you got 348.8 hours. Because we've got people with 3 hours here, 4 hours here, 5 hours here. but I can give you the breakout in quote-unquote bodies, district-wide versus FTE. That's no problem at all.
Dan? Excuse me, Jay, is that what you're looking
Yes.
for? Okay.
That's fine, just add a caveat to your request. I think when you go back and look on a comparative basis, over a number of years, you also have to, and it's in here and we'll address it at some point, but the programming changes and the student need changes because the population services that year in, year out. And
Yep.
it's a continuously evolving
Right.
situation on an annualized basis. So just to put two charts out there, I don't think really tells the tale,
Right.
so.
Here's another
Just
thing
bear that in
to put things in perspective, particularly with special education. And you'll see in the charts that, and you see in the charts that Brian has here, we break out, for instance, I'll use speech and language, based on units of instruction. I could have a special ed teacher with 10 kids, and depending upon the level of disability, I'll use speech and language, depending on the level of disability, that speech and language person could be underutilized because of the amount of either direct or indirect stuff they have. I take 10 different kids, and because of the nature of their disabilities and their particular needs, for those same 10 kids, I might need 2 speech and language people. I'm just using it as an example. So in the personnel charts that we broke out in special ed, you will see that we've broken it out based on units. So you see speech and language, OT, PT, because in special ed, that's really the way we have to staff, particularly with the allied health positions. It also dictates to us, in some of our self-contained programs, what we need for staffing, depending upon the nature of the youngster's disability. So in some of our programs, we may, with, let's say, 10 kids in it, I may only need 12 hours a day of assistant time. In other programs, I may have 2 kids in there, and I need the same 12 hours a day of assistant time because of the nature of their disability. Because we do have some students, just as a point, who are not at the elementary level, but still have basic toileting needs that we have to address. So, there's a whole panorama, so to speak, of needs. So when we look at special ed, it's not just, as your point is well taken, Dan, it's not just numbers. I could have a drop of 20 kids and need more staff, depending on the nature of the disability.
Mike?
Yeah, several questions. I'll try to be quick. What George started with is kind of where I was going first, because it's always a powerful statement to see that something will have direct cost avoidance, and you've got a certain number down to $1.
Correct.
And Nate, I guess I just need to be clear whether you have 100% certainty that if you didn't do these things, you would impact the school district by that amount, or is there an assumption here that it might?
It would.
It would.
It would, Mike.
Okay.
It would.
So in other words, something from last year to this year, something's changing that would cost us that money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Because what you'll see what we've seen in the flow of students is that we have more youngsters coming in with, or moving into the district with, I'll use this program as an example, with PDD and autism. We also have a number of youngsters that are now going up to the middle school level. So we've made some adjustments in staff in some of our other programs to accommodate the time that we need for the middle school PDD program, but we didn't have another staff member. If in fact we didn't put that staff member in there and we didn't transfer those 12 hours of assistant time, then those youngsters that we hadn't have in the middle school program would have to be placed out of district. So when we go through this, and when we go through it, what we do is we take a look at, we net out the cost of the staff and what we know would be cost for tuition and transportation for those students, and that's where we get the cost avoidance. And I believe, hold on a second. I can find it. If you go to page 302. What we've done is lay out for you the model of calculating cost avoidance, the staff costs, and then we provided you with a cost avoidance summary by program going back to FY06 and running through FY09.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I understood. It was just the assumption that you're making this on is that this would happen if we didn't
Absolutely.
do this.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Second question, you mentioned this at the earlier budget, when you announced your budget, and you mentioned it again tonight, that you have the opportunity to reduce another full-time teacher. And
Yes.
obviously, some people's ears perk up, because that's a good thing from a financial standpoint, but you're gonna hold on to it. How long are you gonna hold on to it?
Well, I would
'Cause
hold on.
that's a big savings right
Right.
there.
Well, here's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not gonna know exactly how my numbers are gonna float out at North School till probably the end of the summer. So the idea is that position is gonna be in the budget for next year. Now, what we would do, and it's the same thing that we did a number of years back when we had money in the budget for elementary foreign language positions and we couldn't fill it. So if it turns out that I don't need that additional position, and let's say the numbers stay at 25.2 at North, what I would do is I'd carve out some money from that position so I could give an extra hour of aid time in those fifth grade classes. It's not dissimilar to what I did to fourth grade at South School this year because their numbers are high. The rest of the money, we would freeze and we wouldn't spend, so that would then go back to the taxpayer the following year. So in a sense, I'm holding on to it. The pattern the last summer, and I don't know if it's gonna be an ongoing pattern,
You don't,
right, I don't.
right.
But at the same time, I don't wanna be caught short. So in essence, what I'm saying is I'm holding on to that position. If we don't need it, we would not spend that money, and that would come back as a balance at the end of the year to offset tax rate for the following year.
You would still have that body in your calculation for retirement and everything else, right?
Yes. I mean, as it impacts this year's
Yeah.
budget, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the high school attendance monitor decreasing by 4 hours, so it sounds as if that was something Jim forecasted for you should the SMS system go in.
That's correct.
So I'm just gonna ask the question, is it natural to assume that this system would replace that entirely? Why just the 4 hours? Why not eliminate it if that's what the system's for?
Because what we want the remaining time to be, what the system would allow us to do is basically have real-time attendance every period, all right? What we still would have to do is make phone calls home to find out where those kids are. So the remaining part of that time is to once we get the absentee list in, and which we'd be able to get it in a period, is have someone make phone calls home to find out, Mrs. Jones, is Johnny really sick? Or where is he? So that's the main purpose of those 3 hours. And we feel we can do it based on the recommendation of a new student management system. We believe that would allow us to do that. And so that's why we reduced that number of hours and kept the 3.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Nate, one more question. During this past year, we had changed the hours of certain positions as they came up to the board and people had
Yes.
left. Where is that shown? Is that shown on this sheet, or is that shown in the budget and we reduced the?
It's shown in your budget this year. So give you an example. The assistant superintendent's secretarial position has gone from 260 days to 240. So that's been reduced. The amount of, there was Sue Ballard's assistant's position went from 260 days to 240. So that's reflected in here. You'll also see it reflected in the fact that there is a balance left in that account.
Can I, just for the, since that's kind of quietly and under the radar screen, would it be possible for the next budget meeting to explain the total number of hours that we have reduced this year in positions? One of the things we have done is reduce several of the positions from 260 days down to 240 days in the secretarial area. So what is the total number of hours that we saved? I know it's that it's in the budget.
Yes,
We've
sir.
reduced the numbers there, but it's not clear to the people that we've done some work in that area.
Yeah, as the board is well aware, there are a number of positions that we did do that. So we took full positions down to 240 days. Also, too, it should be noted that the high school reorganization, where there were 3 people in the office, they're now down to 2, that one that was a level 5 position, and now we don't have a level 5 position in the principal's office anymore. So that's also a net savings on an ongoing basis.
Again, we need that for the year, just to show what we've done over this past year, has reduced the cost in this budget. That'll probably be a little bit invisible.
Absolutely. No, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none? Okay, let's continue.
Okay. Yes, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay. Let me, if, it depends on what the board's pleasure is. Thank you, Steve. You want me to walk you through, starting on page 265?
Okay?
All right. Here we go. First one up is music director. That's a half a position. That's Andy Soucy's. Andy is paid half as administrator and half for teaching because he teaches. That's the half that is noted in the 38.5. So that's Andy. 504. What we've done is zeroed out this account, and this money is now placed in the 500-112 account, which is on page 268, and I'll get to that shortly. Moose Hill, we have half of a reading teacher. We have another one full-time teacher that's paid out of federal funds. We presently have 44 students that are receiving reading instruction, remedial reading instruction and support at Moose Hill. Matthew Thornton Kindergarten, we have 9 full-time teachers, 18 sections. We anticipate enrollment of 315. That would give us a class size average of 17.5. All right. Matthew Thornton Art, we will have one and a half art teachers there. That's the reduction I had talked to you about is a 10th. English and reading, 2 full-time reading teachers at Matthew Thornton. Matthew Thornton Phys Ed is 1.5. That's down a 10th of a position. Matthew Thornton Music, 1.6. Matthew Thornton General Ed, 32 teachers. We have enrollment of 650. That gives us 32 sections, 32 classes, average class size 1 through 5 of 20.3. And I'm sure you've gone through the budget, you'll see it varies from grade level to grade level. That information is on page 192, but overall it's 20.3, with lower numbers at the primary level, higher numbers at the intermediate. North School, we have 1.1 art teachers, that's down a 10th. English and reading at North School, 2.5. And what we've 2.5 positions there. North Physical Ed, 1.2 positions. North Music, 1.2. North General Ed teacher, we expect an enrollment of 581, 26 sections, average class size of 22.4. And I'll go back to what I had said earlier. Our concern is in 5th grade, where presently we're projecting 25.2. So that's where that second Matthew Thornton position that a drop would go if in fact those numbers go any higher. South School, art 1.4, reading 2.1, phys ed 1.3, that's down a tenth. Regular South music 1.4. South general teachers, we anticipate an enrollment of 616 kids, 29 classes, average class size of 20.74. For that, middle school art, 3 full-time teachers. Middle school reading, 6 full-time teachers. Foreign language, 7. PE, 8, that's down 1 teacher from this year. And I mentioned earlier, we'll have 8 teachers next year. Family science, 2 teachers. Industrial arts, 1. Music, 5. Computer ed, 3. Middle school general ed, we anticipate an enrollment of 1,243. We'd have 48 sections, that's 48 general sections. The class sizes would probably average about 21, because what you have to remember is we've got 4 teams of 4 teachers at each level. So, and then on top of that, you have foreign language and so on. So the youngsters don't all have, when they have math, some youngsters are going out to other places, so it averages about 21 kids. And it will vary from subject area to subject area depending on the nature of the students. At the high school, we're anticipating an enrollment of 1,820 students next year. We will be offering somewhere in the neighborhood of 673 class sections. Of that, 19 are AP sections and 48 are honor sections. In your binder on page 124, we give you a complete breakout of all the sections at the high school. I don't want to bore you with it, but you can go back. This is what we're offering, and you can see the way it's laid out. Business teachers, 2. Now, keep in mind, too, that we have computer ed in here also. We've got 4, so the computer ed people and the business people cross over because, on teaching certain subjects. English and reading, 21 full-time teachers. Foreign language, 11 teachers. Remember, I mentioned earlier that we're dropping 40% of a foreign language teacher. PE, 7.5. Family science, 3. Industrial arts, 6. Math, 17.5. Music, 2.5. High school science, 18. Social science, social studies, 16. Computer ed, 4. Alternative ed, now we move into the alternative ed, and what we've done is the alternative ed and adult ed, we've split on a basis of 70-30, and this is why we've done it. Alternative ed is the portion of money that we use for the adult ed programs that we're offering in the evenings that are for our day students. The other 70% are the pure night students, because we allow, as the board knows, our day students to access the night programs to be able to recover credit. So they're earning credit towards their Londonderry High School diploma, which is 24 credits, as opposed to the pure adult ed students. So we try to come up with some way to define alternative ed versus adult ed. And that's what we came up with. And 30% is as good a guess as 35%, so it's the same amount of money. Now, what we do for 504, presently, we have 134 students that have been coded as 504 students. Those are students that need accommodation for a variety of things that impact their life processes. And what we've budgeted is 7 hours of daily support, and then we've also budgeted additional miscellaneous hours, that's what from the other one, to provide specific support for these youngsters. Computer ed assistants, all elementary computer ed assistants, it's down from 25 daily hours to 22. I had mentioned that earlier. Kindergarten assistants, we have 3-hour assistants in each section of the kindergarten. So in morning kindergarten, teachers have 3 hours of aid time in there. In the afternoon, the same thing. General ed assistants at what school am I at? Oh, Matthew Thornton, excuse me, is down 6 hours because we're dropping the 2 classes. Then we have 6 daily hours of clerical support. North general ed assistants, 75.7 hours of daily time and 3 hours of clerical support. For members of the public and the Budget Committee, just a reminder, the primary level, we have 3 hours of educational support, grades 1, 2, and 3. In grades 4 and 5, it's 2 hours. South general ed support, 76 hours and 4 hours of daily support. Middle school computer ed assistants, 8 hours. Middle school general ed assistants, 21 hours daily. That's for in-school detention and monitoring. High school computer ed, 8 hours of daily support. General ed assistants at the high school, 25.3 daily hours. That's the front door, parking, detention are all included in there, and stipend for after-school monitor and Saturday detentions. And then also, too, the reduction of the 4 hours is included in here. That's the hours that we had talked about for the attendance monitor. We have 3.5 hours of cafeteria monitor. If you remember going back, I think it was 05, 06, might have been the 06 year, we cut that amount of time. I believe we had additional time in there when we reduced it then. Substitutes, we spent last year $571,390 on substitutes. This current year, we budgeted $315. We're asking for an increase to $379,217 this year. As the board is aware, and we've gone through this discussion with the Budget Committee many years, we purposely under-budget this account. And what we use is teacher turnover money or staff turnover money to cover the overage on the substitute account. If we didn't do that, so we would wind up double booking. So if I put in the 571 and I'm carrying the staff that I've got in the budget, knowing that I'm going to have people leave either for a variety of reasons, either pregnancy, retirement, whatever, I'd be double booking and double counting those monies. So the best, I think, and the prudent way to address this is you under budget this and you use the teacher turnover money or staff turnover money to fund the overage on this particular account. Testing, this is for screening for all new students, kindergarten, first grade. All elementary summer salaries. This is for our summer school programs, our elementary at-risk programs, kindergarten at risk. That's the one that we started this year with the kids going from kindergarten to first grade. That's the funding in there for that. And we've broken out number of teachers, number of hours. The in-house programs, we have the academic intervention programs and the academy at risk. If you remember, we had thought about the idea of having a summer program for at-risk students at the middle school. We didn't get any response. We had a discussion at the board level. We said, well, let's try and do academies after school to see if, in fact, we could pull some kids in. So that's what the funding is for that. Middle school summer salary, this is for the accelerated math, okay, and we've had a fairly good response on that in past summer, so we want to continue that. High school summer school, this is for our regular high school summer school, figuring 11 teachers, 25 hours, 5 hours. Now we move into special ed. Matthew Thornton, building coordinator, North School building coordinator, South School building coordinator, Middle School building coordinator, the high school building coordinator. The position, as I had mentioned earlier, because of the increased number of students, the increased number of programs, and the expectations as far as supervision and evaluation, and the fact that we have a large number of the high school kids, which are kind of on a 12-month program, we're recommending the 20 additional days. As far as support staff, there's a special program secretary at Matthew Thornton, at North, at South, at the middle school, and at the high school to support the building level coordinators. And I just want to go back, because to one point, because I find this absolutely, whoops. The state reporting system called Nessus, where we have to input all the special ed, our calculation is that it takes us 3,300 hours per year to gather all that information, put that information back. Obviously, a lot of that falls back on not only the staff in the building, but also the building level special ed coordinators and the clerical staff. The Medicaid, 3,412 hours. So you just look at that stuff. Cat aid, 180 hours per year. The ADMR and A13 reports, 60 hours per year. So just the paperwork alone in special education, not to mention the IEPs, which I didn't include in here, the amount of time and effort is just incredible, and that support is needed. Last year, if you remember, we had requested a behavior specialist, and what we were able to do was reduce the amount of money in the psychological budget. That is working out very well. This person is providing direct service to 30 kids and indirect consultation to 162. SPED All Elementary, this is 3 positions. These are the teachers that are in the elementary self-contained programs, which are the PFS program, the BAS program, and the Friends. PFS is a program for youngsters with emotional difficulties, basic academic skills, developmental disabilities, and the Friends is our program for autism, okay? And what we did was, just so you're aware, you'll see when we get to South School Special Ed, we moved one of the position out because we felt it was more appropriate to have, since those are all elementary programs, they serve kids from the entire district, to consolidate all those in one account. That made more sense to us. Moose Hill, kindergarten, special ed, 1.5 teachers. Moose Hill, LEAP program, 3.9 would be the total. We've asked for that additional position. SPED Matthew Thornton, going from 8 to 7. North, staying at 7. South, going to 4.7 positions. And we're taking one of those South teachers and moving them to the high school. That's the case manager position that I had mentioned earlier. Middle school teachers going to 17. That's the Friends 3 program. That's the additional program that I had mentioned. This started the new autism program, so going from 16 to 17. High school going from 18.7 to 19.7. That's that transfer of that position. We anticipate that we'll have 384 special ed students up at the high school, and I gave you the case manager numbers earlier. If we didn't put in that, our 9th grade case managers would have a caseload of 39. By putting in the additional position, we'd have a caseload of 26. District-wide assistance, this was, remember, and this is another way in which we make adjustments in our program. If you go back to a year ago, we put in an MPS program for youngsters that had multiple physical handicapping conditions. The need for that program evaporated, so what we did was we moved people to meet other needs, and this is, and that's why that program now shows 0. Special SPED, all elementary assistance, is 81.5 hours that we're dropping to 75.5. This is the elementary self-contained programs, PFS, BSF, and Friends, and that includes 21 hours moved to a net, and it nets out, all the moves net out to 0. Reduced FY09, 6 hours, and and those hours will move to the middle school. Kindergarten assistants, 29 and a half hours. Moose Hill LEAP assistants, will be 47.5, a total of 50.5 altogether, is laid out here. Let's see. Matthew Thornton, reduction of hours gets us to 118.5. North assistant hours gets us to 125, which is a drop from the 131. South assistants going from 118 to 112. Middle school assistants going from 137 to 149. Those are the transfer hours. Most of those have to, that we've moved from the all elementary and south. SPED high school assistants, staying the same number, that's 200. It will be 200.5 daily hours. District-wide miscellaneous support. This is funds for student tutoring. We have students that from time to time we have to provide additional tutoring for. They may be youngsters that cannot come to school for a variety of reasons. They're coded special ed, and we provide home tutoring and programming because we've got to continue the programs for them. So we allocate funds to do that. Special ed subs, we're budgeting at the same amount as this year, which is $62,000. We had spent the previous year 102. This year we're at 135. District-wide salaries for summer, we had 240 students that participated in extended year programming. That's what this money is for the extended year programs that we provide. Then also, we have LEAP extended year programming. Educational support, all elementary, that includes a total of 6. Now, if you board remembers, these are former Title I positions, and the Title I money dried up, and several years back, the board was kind enough to absorb these positions into the regular budget. ESL district-wide, 2 full-time teachers. Presently, we have 28 ESL kids that speak 13 different languages. Our kid who spoke Gujarati isn't here anymore, but we do have 13 different languages that we're working with kids. Gifted and talented, this 20% is for our DI coordinator. And gifted and talented Matthew Thornton is 1.8 teachers. Now, for those of you who are interested, this includes our elementary enrichment programs, our pull-out programs, our key programs, and our accelerated math programs. North, 1.5, that's a reduction of 1/10 of a position. South, 1.5. Middle school, 3 full-time gifted and talented. And several weeks ago, board members, Andy gave a report as to how we were using that additional gifted and talented teacher up at the middle school. Then we have stipends built in for our destination imagination coaches. Now moving on to vocational programs. We have 1 vocational teacher up at the high school. He basically works with our, a lot of our special education students are in our vocational programs, provides support for them. We have, on temporary staff, we have salaries for co-curricular for chaperoning, co-curricular for music. Those are stipends for chorus and band. At Matthew Thornton, the same thing at North, the same thing at South. Middle school is funding for coaches to support a variety of programs, and I gave you those numbers earlier. Co-curricular high school stipends, that's funds for coaches and to support programs, and also includes the funding for those 5 additional clubs that I had touched on at the beginning of my presentation. Then we have intramural stipends at Matthew Thornton North and South, and at the middle school. Kids do things like fitness, gymnastics, field hockey, volleyball, on a rotating basis at those schools. Athletics, you have the athletic director's salary broken out into 2 parts, part a portion for middle school and part a portion for the high school. Athletic high school salary, we have 1 what's included in this next account is the trainer and also the secretary. Funding for officials, this is for scorekeepers, game security, game supervision, and ticket takers. Those are our employees. Middle school stipends, we have 23 teams and 28 coaches. High school stipends, we have 75 coaches and 52 teams at the high school. Adult ed, what we put in here was, in a sense, a placeholder of $500. We have had in the past, we've offered those computer programs for community members. So this is, in a sense, some money to pay somebody to offset some of the costs, to have them come in. Last several years, we had a great deal of success with people coming in, learning how to buy off of eBay, learning how to do Excel, doing email. It's community education. So we put a placeholder in here. This is the remaining part of the adult ed. And I think it's important to note that last year in our adult ed program, we had 29 youngsters graduated in the spring. 19 went on to college. And we had 202 students over the past several years who accessed our adult ed programs that were able to either get a 24 credit high school diploma or the 20 credit adult ed program diploma. And this program over the years has just been phenomenal in providing additional opportunities for our students. Under special services, district-wide directors, that's Brian and Kim. Their secretary follows high school guidance, that's Mike Dolphin, and the vocational counselor that the board approved last year, and that has worked out extremely well. And if you remember, several board meetings back, Gail, Kathy, and Mike came in and gave a presentation on the comprehensive guidance program and all the things that they have been doing up there, and it's worked out extremely well. And we're just very pleased. In addition to, I think it's important to note that under the concept that we've been working on in providing a comprehensive high school, we have, over the last several years, been able to promote and increase the number of kids that participate in vocational programs. This year, we have 109 students that are going to MST and 21 students that are going to Alvern. So I think that's really good in giving those kids a wonderful opportunity. Middle school guidance secretary is in there. High school guidance secretaries, we have 2 positions. And if the board remembers, we did some reorganization there for that office. Counseling at Matthew Thornton, we have 2 counselors. North, 1.5. South, 2.1. Middle school, 4. High school, we have 7. School to career, and you're going to hear, if I make my presentation a little bit shorter, we might get to Gail tonight. There's school to career and also school to career support. There's 4 hours. School community service, we have 3 counselors, 1 that serves the elementary, 1 the middle school, and 1 the high school. These are counselors that work with youngsters that are having drug and alcohol problems or other family issues. Nursing at North, we have one nurse left that's still on the teacher salary schedule. That's what's represented in that line. Nursing services, district-wide, then we have, it's 1 full-time equivalent, and we apportion that out. If you remember, several budgets ago, we added an additional nurse because we were short nursing time at a number of the schools. And what we use this position for is to make adjustments depending upon the nature of students that we have at the individual schools and whatever the needs are. And we do have, at all the schools now, youngsters that have some significant medical needs that have to be attended to. This additional nursing time has been great. Moose Hill, we have 1 nurse, Matthew Thornton, 2. Nursing Services North is 0.4, but they get a share of the district-wide nurse. South, 1.4. Middle school, 2 full-time equivalents. High school, 2 full-time equivalents. Then we have a line for substitutes for nurses, which are not always the easiest thing to get, to put it mildly. Psychological services district-wide, we pick up, we have this as a full-time position. We pick up 60%, federal funds pick up 40%. This individual does a lot of the testing that we have to have done for students. We also have, if you remember, we had a diagnostician at the middle school. We switched that to a psychologist to give us greater flexibility and ability to do diagnostic instruments that we couldn't do with just the diagnostician. And that allowed us to take some money out of another line so that we didn't have to go out of district to do a number of different diagnostic assessments. Then we've got laid out for you, all elementary, our speech people, 30% to the all elementary programs, Moose Hill 2.8, Matthew Thornton 2.7, North 1.2, South 1.8, Middle School 2.3, High School 1.2. And all the charts that we have in the special ed section, and I don't want to go through them now, we broke out the number of units and we based the staffing based on the number of units of service that kids need. So that's all laid out for you. PT, we have 1 full-time equivalent in allied health, that's district-wide. OT, district-wide, we have 8.9. Other special homebound salaries, that's $10,000. That's for kids who have homebound students with medical issues. So, for instance, Susie Smith went skiing over Christmas, broke her leg in 2 places, can't come to school. We try and get a tutor over so that she doesn't fall too far behind. And we've had youngsters, too, that have had significant illnesses, and we provide tutoring so that they don't lose a whole school year or a semester. All elementary diagnostic testing, this is $15,000. This is for sped testing by district staff beyond their contracted hours. Sometimes we have to do assessment during the summer or during vacations. It depends on individual basis, so we put money in there. Temporary staff, this is training initiatives, district office, computer ed. This supports training initiatives for the Teachers Academy, web-based training, technology-rich training. District-wide mentor stipend, we run a year-long induction institute. We pay stipends to the teachers and also our action research stipends. District-wide sped salaries, this is to support ongoing training and summer transition training. All elementary salary training, this is funding to support curriculum instruction and assessment and initiatives for a strategic plan. Follows a similar pattern at the middle school and also at the high school, and we've identified some specific areas. Improving instruction district-wide salaries, those are stipends that we've got in there. We budget for sabbatical leave, and that's that funding in there. Now move to library media. We have director's position. We also have supervisor, secretary. This is a position that we went from 260 days down to 240. Library media teacher at Matthew Thornton is 1, at North is 1, at South is 1, middle school 2, high school 3. Then support, library media support, we have our webmaster, and also we have our person who handles all our video stuff. That's the 4 hours. Moose Hill, library media Moose Hill assistant, we have 6 hours that go down there. Matthew Thornton, 12 hours, North 11, South 11, middle school 18.1. Let's see, library media subs, then, okay, and then this is the media district-wide salary, that's our tech integrationist. Then we have school board services, where you guys get all that money, and that's also funding for the treasurer and the board secretary. Then you have the district office, you have the superintendent, you got the, in there. You have the supports, you have my administrative assistant, you have the assistant superintendent, you have his administrative assistant, and that's also the position that we dropped from 260 down to 240. Office of the principal at Moose Hill. Then we have Matthew Thornton, we have a principal and assistant principal, North principal and assistant principal. The elementary assistants are 210 days, the elementary principals are a full year. Middle school, we have 2 administrators full-time, that's the principal and the associate principal. We have 2 housemasters that are 210 days, and we have a curriculum coordinator that's 215. If you remember, we reconfigured, we used to have 3 housemasters. We dropped the housemaster, and we converted that to the curriculum coordinator's position. We felt we would get more mileage out of that, and that's working out very well. At high school, we have 5 administrators, the principal and 4 assistant principals, and the 2 curriculum coordinators. And then at Moose Hill, we have 13 hours of secretarial time. We have additional time, 20 additional days in there for one of the secretaries, because that's where we run our extended year summer school program, and we need somebody to man the phones and handle that while those kids are there. Matthew Thornton, we have 15 hours of secretarial time, 1 for a full year and 1 only 200 days. North is 14 and a half hours. South, 14 hours. Middle school, 15 and a half. And we had dropped the position at the middle school, the board remembers. High school, we've dropped the position, which I touched on earlier. Then temporary staff, money for 2 managers and 2 printers. We do our own in-house printing, and that saves us significant amount of money. District-wide subs. We also have, we've built in money. We're going to be going through, over the next 2 years, our New England Association of School and Colleges high school accreditation. We've built money in for work beyond the school day and committee chairs to do all that extra work, and it is a significant amount of time and effort. Business office, we have in that line, we have Peter, Anita, and Susie. District office support includes HR, payroll. There are 3 people and 4 people. Cindy, Melissa, who's our recruiter and does 4 hours. And what's also interesting, just to give you an idea, if I can find my, from January to June last year was what, over 1,000? 2,090 applications that we processed. And now we're doing most of our stuff online. And I think I mentioned that going back, I think to 2001, we had spent like $22,000 in advertising for positions. We're now down to about $5,000 because we're doing the bulk of it electronically. And that saved us a significant amount of money, and that seems to be the preference of people. So we're continuing to do that. Let's see, we also have our federal funds, our accounts receivable, our receptionist, and, yep, and that does that. And, and Peter's secretary, which has been reduced to 240 days and 5 hours a day. That used to be 260 and a 7-hour-a-day position, 8-hour-a-day position. Building and grounds, got Chuck's position, his secretarial assistant, then district-wide custodian. This is the one that position that works at the library. This is 8 hours a day, and then they go over to South School at lunchtime. The bulk of the time is at the library. Moose Hill has 16 hours of custodial time. Matthew Thornton, 40 hours of daily custodial time. North has 30 hours. That includes the 2 hours from South. South has 26 daily hours of custodial time, middle school 72. Middle school and the high school have 3 shifts. The elementary schools have 2 shifts. And if you remember, in my opening statement, I went through the number of square footage that we cover. Also, I think it's important to note that on average, on a weekly basis, we have between activities in the schools and out of the fields, after school hours, about 250 activities a week. And that's not only just school stuff, but that's also community stuff. And obviously, you've got to have staff there to take care of the buildings and make sure everything is running appropriately. We've built money in for custodial substitutes. We also have built-in money for overtime. The overtime covers a number of areas. That includes things like snow removal. It also includes work during the summer. We encourage our custodial staff as much as possible to take time off in the summer because it's less expensive to hire kids to do a lot of that work. And we try and get a significant amount of stuff done during the summertime, getting the buildings cleaned and so forth. So that's where the bulk of that money goes, and it's broken out for you based on overtime hours and summer hours. Then we have our grounds, which is 32 hours daily, then overtime and summer salaries for grounds. We try to get kids in during the summer to do a lot of the work. It's less expensive, and it's a good thing for the kids. They get to earn a couple of bucks and then get stuff done. Then we have our district-wide people. We have 4 people. That's our HVAC and our electrical people at work. Then district-wide summer, we've got our overtime and our summer hours. We also have the energy manager. That's the stipend for the energy management program that has saved us over $300,000 a year in electrical costs. And it's almost a 7-day-a-week job where after normal work hours, Bob goes into all the buildings, checks on everything, goes in on weekends, and that's been one of the keys. And Bob also runs everything on the computer so that we can do the analysis. We can see how many therms we're burning or how many watts we're using. And that has been a significant impact. And the board remembers, I think, since we started the program 7 years ago, Chuck? 7, we've saved, it's been cost avoidance of over $2 million. And as we've said time and time again, it's worth repeating, we're using the same amount of electricity that we were using before we built Moose Hill, before we put the addition on the high school, and before we built the gym. Okay, the $45,000, that's money that we put in there for use of facilities by community groups. Some of that comes back to us on the revenue side for some of the stuff that we charge, but you've got to have money in there to have people come in. That's nights, weekends. Next is computer systems district-wide. Our IT person, our 3 IT techs, our database manager, and our network administrator. Computer system trainings. We've put some money in for extra summer help during the summer for hardware repairs, software upgrades, and database administrators. And then contractually, we have some items that we're responsible for as far as retirement and health, and those are included. That, in a very long-winded way, is $35,800,357, or 59% of our total budget.
Questions?
Oh, that's not bad.
Nate?
Yes, sir.
Under the line items improvement of instruction,
Could you give me a page?
well, I'm going to give, yeah, the summary page is actually page 39. It's worth $430,000. Can you tell me what improvement in instruction is?
I'm sorry.
Improvement of instruction, the line item on page 39, towards the end. Yeah, I'm looking at a summary page.
Okay.
To, And there's one for four.
Page 39.
Yeah, page
Oh,
39, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's okay. It's easier than bouncing from page to page through the detail. You got two line items towards the bottom of that page, one for about 406, and another one for maybe 26
Right.
or something.
Yep.
Just explain, I mean, that's over
Right,
$400,000.
yeah, that includes money for course reimbursement for teachers,
In the master's program?
yes.
Okay.
And also, course reimbursement, that's for college courses,
Okay.
workshops, the whole bit. Is curriculum work,
Okay,
so,
that's, I guess,
right,
what I want to understand is the separation, because the first thing I want to do is figure out how many people actually take advantage of things like college courses and the master's
sure.
program, and how much of this is for curriculum, which I assume is things like what Joe Oswald does as far as Teachers Academy and, you know, those, I'm sorry, Pete?
Summer work.
Yep.
Summer work, okay.
Sure, what-
Yeah, exactly, that type of thing.
Yeah, what we can
And the
do is-
works, you know, the half-day workshops and
we can
that kind
give,
of thing.
yeah, and also included in that would be things like the Induction Institute and everything.
Right.
We can break
Yep.
that all out for you.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
no
just, you
problem.
know, I'm really interested in seeing how many of our staff take advantage of things like tuition reimbursement, the master's program,
Right.
and how much is spent on, you know, I'm gonna call them days off, because essentially that's what they are, those workshop days.
Right.
And that kind of,
Yeah, I think what's important to know too, if memory serves me correct,
kids are out of school.
yeah, and that's reflected in sometimes in cost for bringing speakers in or people to bring in. Memory serves me correct, we had 52, was it, Susie? 52 people graduate from our in-district master's program and get their master's through that program, which I think is fantastic.
That's great.
And we
Absolutely.
have a high percentage of our people that do take, because I sign off on these things, what I would consider to be appropriate workshops and college courses.
Yeah, I
So-
just wanna get a handle on, you know, how many,
That's no
number
problem.
of people that are
So you
taking
wanna
advantage
break
of that
out-
kind of thing.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be anything, you know, other than, yeah, 55 people took advantage of it
Yeah.
last year.
That's a lot of people, too.
And what, you know, what the value of that is. Because
That's-
that, you know, that's a, $400,000 is a investment
Yeah.
in, you know, 400 and some odd teachers, so.
And if, I don't have it with me now, but if you look at
262 is.
accent on achievement,
Yep.
I believe we had a breakout of percentage of teachers who have master's degrees and beyond, and those that got credits beyond and bachelors, and we can pull that stuff together for
Okay,
you.
great.
That's no problem.
Thanks, Nate.
Also, can you include the amount per the contract that the teachers
Sure.
have allocated in that?
Yep.
Additional questions from the board? Budget committee? Oh, wait a minute, Steve.
Just a high, I don't want the details now, but English is a second language instruction. It appears to be about $5,000 per student. And just some conversations during the budget season on why that is.
The short answer is that we have kids that speak 13 different languages, and some need significant amount of instruction outside of the classroom. And it's one of those things where cost per student, I want to say this so it doesn't sound wrong. If you have a startup program and with a small cadre of kids, and let's say 30 kids, which is not a huge amount compared to Manchester, you still need those startup costs and those people there to provide the hours of instruction that are appropriate for the kids. So,
Yeah, but I was just looking at salaries. I wasn't
Yeah.
looking at,
that's what I'm talking about, the fact that with 13 different languages and kids spread out at multiple elementary schools and at 3 levels, it kind of divides up your time.
okay, we can go. Again, you've got 2 instructors, 13 different languages, 24 students.
Right.
You've got $10,000 or $120,000
Right.
set aside, and that's just for salaries, not materials.
We'll get that for you.
I'm not going to talk.
Any other questions from the board? Budget Committee? Mike?
Yeah, I got several questions, and they're just going to be asked from the standpoint of if the regular old resident kind of didn't wade through this, but heard the presentation and might have these questions pop into their head. Page 270, and these can be brief responses, Nate. Just to save time, not to say you're long-winded. They're laughing, not me.
Because we're here all year.
So there's, for each of the elementary schools, the middle school and the high school, there's somebody who's got a position that's called building coordinator.
Yes.
Okay. Each of those schools has special ed teachers, right?
Yes.
So is this a person who supervises
Yes.
those teachers?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe an individual out there would say, isn't that what the principal does? So I'm kind of looking for just a quick explanation of why you have that intermediate. It would be kind of like a middle manager in corporate
Right.
America.
Yeah, it's, well, let me respond to you in two ways. And let me give you an example. At Matthew Thornton, there are 52 people that fall under direct responsibility. That's teachers plus assistants. So on top of that, not only do you need that, you also need somebody who legally can sit in on IEP meetings and placement team meetings and speak for the district to do that. And it's the intensive amount of paperwork and federal regulations. So if you look at, and because I picked on Matthew Thornton, I'll just give you another thing. Hold on a second. I'll just work off the sheet so I don't have to work off of memory. If you look at the number of other people that Carol and Greg are responsible for supervising, you've got 30-some-odd teachers, classroom teachers, plus art, plus music, plus PE, plus other clerical staff. So when you look at the span of control, it's very thin on both sides. So having that special ed person there, I think, is critical. And in addition to it, although I, as a former building administrator, felt comfortable going into a classroom, even, let's say, sometimes when I went into a class that was teaching foreign language or advanced math, I may not have been skilled in that content, but I was skilled enough in the method of instruction to make an observation and work with it. I would not say I would have that same level or skill ability in observing a speech and language person or an occupational therapist or somebody who's working with kids with autism. So having people in the building that have that particular set of skills makes for a more efficient and appropriate supervision and evaluation process.
Okay.
Mike, can I add on to that a little bit? One of the major reasons for these coordinators is that we have a number of students and they have the IEP meetings. If we did not have the coordinator there that attends these meetings, what we want to make sure is that our services are consistent at each of the meetings. Not that a team could run away and be given, I'm going to say extra services, additional services that may not be warranted, so we're consistent in our delivery, and that we're consistent in our delivery amongst all the schools. If you had the same disabilities at Matthew Thornton, you would get the same services at North and South. So this is one of the biggest things, and when we put them in many years ago, we saw a discrepancy amongst the hours and the support that we're giving children amongst the buildings. So this here allows us to have the students receive the services they need that is consistent amongst the district. And Brian, if I'm saying something wrong, just correct me. Yeah, this is the purpose of this, and in a way, it's a cost savings to the district. Believe it or not, that the services are consistent and we're not having extra services in there.
Okay. Question on the nurses. It's kind of a similar question that someone might ask if they waded through this, if they did. the high school and middle school have 2 nurses, so the assumption is those are larger than the elementary school, but Matthew Thornton has 2, so kind of looking for why we would have 2 there and 2 at the high school when there's such a huge difference in the number of students that the nurses would be treating.
Part of
Is
it has to do with the nature of the district-wide special education programs that they have in Matthew Thornton.
that okay? And I'm just going to ask this, nothing personal,
Ron, can I
okay?
just-
Go ahead.
It's something,
Yeah,
it's something a layman
I'm
would
sorry,
ask.
Mike,
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt only because I think the superintendent may have misunderstood, because I had the same problem when I asked my question. I was really preparing you, when I asked my English as a second language question, I wasn't looking for the answer.
Oh, okay.
I was really preparing you for the budget season to have a better understanding. Are you trying to do the same thing, or are you looking for specific answers?
I'm asking questions that I think the average person would ask. You know, we talk at length about what drives the budget. Everyone kind of knows it at this point, so I'm asking questions that people would ask if they're looking for ways to do something about
If I
that.
can give you the short response, I will. If it needs more information,
Okay.
I'll give it to you next time, okay?
Thank you.
So this question, for what it's worth, you know, we know that our principal, a great principal at the high school, is retiring and moving on to something else, and that you've made a decision to promote a well-deserving individual. So a lot of folks would come up to me and ask, well, is that an opportunity to go from 4 assistant principals to 3? Was that option looked at?
I did not consider that option because I feel that with 1,800 kids at the high school and with the variety of programs that were staffed appropriately and maybe even on the lean side, and the fact that the assistant principal, one of the assistant principals in a sense has double duty because they're the one that's responsible for the adult ed and the alternative ed programs that I think has been extremely efficient and effective. And I think with the staffing arrangement that we've had a low discipline, we've had minimal discipline issues, we've got a good climate, we have appropriate supervision and evaluation, and that's an appropriate level of staffing for the high school.
Okay, last question. You mentioned there's 3 shifts for custodial services at the middle school and high school.
Yes,
So that's 3 shifts, that's overnight, et cetera,
right.
right? Does that continue through, is that school year or all year?
They run 3 shifts during the school year, and then during the summer, we bring, Chuck, right? We bring everybody in during the regular hours so that we can get all the extra cleaning and painting and all that other stuff done. It's also, as I had mentioned before, when we have a number of people that wind up taking vacation. So it's during the year when we run the 3 shifts.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Tom?
On page 290. Question I have is, any district-wide salary to staff retirement.
Okay, when members of the staff retire, depending on the bargaining unit, they can cash out a percentage of their sick days, and that's what that is.
That would be a contractual thing.
Yes.
Any other questions from the Budget Committee? From the board? Okay,
Okay. Can I make a suggestion, being that I was long-winded? And if we go to Gail now and then see if we could get Andy and Mike in, I hate to do this because I know the special ed portion may take more time, and those are others of the 3 small. I hate to make the special ed people come out again, but if we can get those 3 in, then we can start off with special ed next time.
okay.
And as long as they don't throw anything at me. There you go. I'm sorry. Okay. Why don't we start with Gail, then why don't we go to Gail? So you guys can go home if you want.
Let the record show that was 2 years in a row.
Personnel's kind of important.
Anita, can you do me a favor? Can you talk to Connie next year to split it up to special ed to lead off the second meeting? Thank you.
School to career,
It did.
can come up here, Gail.
And Nate, also the calendar on the web, or the notifications on the web, we were going to try to put what
Yes.
we were going to, and it's not up yet.
Oh, it should have been.
I went tonight and, the items? Maybe I did.
Okay.
And Steve, what we'll endeavor to do too is, as this changes, because we'll make the appropriate adjustments, so we'll get to that, okay?
I had thought they did it.
Gail, go ahead.
Okay, the School to Career Program initiative at the Londonderry School District is meant to serve all students. My activities, basically the department is me and my able assistant Jenny, and the services that we provide are for all students as they move through the school system and on to post-secondary and transition into the workforce. The budget that I'm presenting is essentially the same as last year. There are no really major changes on any of the line items. Actually, the supply item is $475 less than last year. So the request is for $12,725. That money goes for a number of different things. One of the things is supplies, and those are for all of the different programs that we run. As I said, our office, the Career Center office, supports all of the students in the high school in all kinds of different programs, job placement, career pathways. We run workshops, we run several middle school events. We have our career day tomorrow, that's for the entire 8th grade. We have 32 guests coming in to speak about their careers tomorrow, and that's for materials. Part of that money goes for materials for those students. We also have work-based learning insurance that covers students when they go out into the community to work in unpaid, non-paid work experience. That's something that's required in lieu of workers' comp, and that covers our students in our internship program. The travel piece of the budget is high, and that's been consistently that $5,000 is a request for that. And the bulk of that expense is for our participation in the National Academy Program, Academy of Finance. Many of you have heard me speak of that in the past. Our agreement with the National Academy Foundation involves participation in a summer career development conference for teachers that we agree to send 2 teachers to that, plus the director. And then there's a fall conference for that. And that's a national conference, professional development for people in our Academy of Finance. I also included this year, I think on the request of the board, sort of a summary of some of the kinds of activities that we do. One of the things Nate asked me to address was the internship program. That's one of the things that I run. And you can see over the years in the addendum on page 169 that our numbers of students participating in the internship program has increased. It runs both fall and spring semester and also over the summer. And that includes our regular Career Center internship students and our Academy of Finance students. So that's been a quite successful and positive program. Kids have to apply for it. It's generally for students who've completed their junior year and onward. I've also included a list of a lot of the other kinds of activities that we get involved in, aside from one-on-one counseling with students as they're making preparations. I mentioned the Career Day. That's a lot of organization. That's a full day of support of the middle school. We run a career breakfast series. We run targeted career cluster events throughout the year, Engineers Week being one, Law Day being another, that kind of thing. We're involved in all of the guidance activities, classroom-based curriculum, through the guidance department, so we're involved in all of those things as well. Sophomore guidance series, that's a new thing. We're now in classrooms much more. We do classroom-based presentations. You're Hired is one of them, and that's with, in conjunction with our special ed department. We run a job fair. We offer, Jenny Steven is our job placement person, and she works part-time, but her primary role is to help students find employment, both part-time and full-time after school. We do a lot of work with placing students in internships or in work experience that would lead to full-time employment after high school, as well as students who are seeking to go on to college and explore careers in other fields in that way. I guess that's about it. Do you have any questions?
Questions from the board? Seeing none. Questions from the Budget Committee? Tom?
$50. What is work-based learning insurance?
Work-based learning insurance is the insurance that we carry that allows students, when they leave the building on a work experience, an internship, for example, they would go to another work site. They may not be paid at that work site. If they were injured, for example, on that work site, that insurance covers them. There's a number of steps that you have to go through in order to get that insurance, but it's a safety piece that the Department of Ed and the Department of Labor sort of mandate that we carry for students when they're in unpaid work-based learning situations.
They're not going to pay twice. I'm sure the employer's letting them work on their facility, paid or unpaid.
Department of Labor issue.
Requirement.
Yeah, it's a Department of Labor issue.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Seeing none, thank you very much, Gail.
Gail,
All right.
thank you.
All right.
Mr. Susi?
Good evening. I'm delighted to, one more time, have an opportunity to present and go over the budget, proposed budget for the music department. Looking at page 157 in your books, and just want to highlight a few comments that are recorded in the executive summary. We have 1,000 students in band that are playing an instrument district-wide, and that includes the 3 elementary bands and the jazz bands and the 12 middle school bands and the 5 high school bands, which is a pretty significant number. We have 936 in the choral program district-wide, and then we have 170 students in string. That number keeps growing every year. This year's band is 344, including color guard, is the largest band we've ever had. We tell them not to sign up, but they do it anyways. I don't know what to do about that. The funds that we request are basically for, like, for instance, sheet music and supplies, maintenance, repair for the instruments, tuning the pianos, things of that nature, as well as you'll see some lease instruments, some lease suggestions that we are proposing for next year for some instruments that we are just in need of, because to replace some of the instruments that we have, as well as to deal with the growing enrollment. Next page, if you would bear with me. We're looking currently at the current year sousaphone, French horn, year 2, and that's all complete and done. But our proposal for next year is for an oboe, a bassoon, tenor sax, and some recording equipment, and that's all new stuff. Again, we could ask for more, but we think that's a good, something to help us out. And I'll tell you why these particular instruments, because oboes, double reeds, and bassoons, these are instruments that are not generally the types of instruments that one would start off as a beginning instrumentalist. You would start off on a clarinet, then move over eventually to an oboe, for instance. A bassoon, the $3,000 instrument, no kid's gonna, no parent, no family, I don't think, is going to, by and large, say, hey, why don't you play the bassoon, type of thing. So it's just, so we try to help out a little bit. Tenor sax, we have, I think it's almost 40 tenor alto saxes in the band, not enough tenor saxes. So, so we need some of that to balance out instrumentation, especially for the jazz program. The sousaphone request is to replace one. We had a bell fall off a sousaphone in a parade a few months ago down in Townsend, Mass. And, you know, of course, our sousaphone line, they do a choreography thing, you know, so. But some of these instruments are showing some age. Some of these a lot of these sousaphones were purchased in '90, and the bass violin was purchased in 1978. We have a fiberglass bass violin that, you know, okay, it's time to step up, you know, and get something that's wood and not a fiberglass replica. So anyways, so that's what we're looking at right there. And the recording equipment is because we have our groups are doing so much performing, and we are making recordings all the time that we really need something a better quality. And it's for the entire program. Will help kids prepare, make recordings for auditions and college auditions and all kinds of things, as well as to hear the kids, they can critique their own playing by listening to playback, make their performances better by listening ahead of time to where their weaknesses are and things of that nature. So that's the least portion of the proposal that we're looking at. I'm going to skip over the next page, just rationale, which I kind of just gave you, and the next component would be the band uniforms. This is a 10 uniforms a year maintenance program that we started, and it's been working out really well. We have about 340 uniforms right now, and they're going up about 3% annually. They don't last forever. Like drummers, the wear and tear on the drummers' uniforms are significant because of the hardware that they carry. So that's an example. Also, the only time uniforms fit perfectly on the band is the first year you get them. Because the next year, you have seniors that have graduated, you have new freshmen, and now you have to, you know, make adjustments on sizes. Some larger kids may have graduated, and you have these large uniforms, but nobody to really fill them yet and stuff like that. So we are doing pretty well with sizing right now, and that's because we've been keeping up. You need to have an overflow with sizes just to make sure you can accommodate everybody. And if you get an especially small child, student come in, then you've got to just get something to accommodate that need, or the reverse. If I could just jump ahead to, and I'll show you where I am, page 163, and I'll just take the different programs, the different accounts. The first one is maintenance and repairs, the $3,400. We've been staying with that for a number of years, and that's worked out pretty well. Piano tuning's about $90 a piece, okay, and we've got, I don't know, I think it's 15 or 16 in the district. We have 5 at the high school and 3 at the middle school, and one or 2 at each elementary. And and then we also have instrument repairs. And, you know, by the way, these repairs are mostly for school instruments. We don't pay for students that have an instrument. I don't want people to think that, oh, we're paying for a clarinet repair, you know, because that's a private instrument. We don't do that. You know, we are talking about like the bass clarinets or a bari saxophone or a sousaphone or an amplifier, whatever, but these are for school instruments. The conference smiles, that's, you know, more like our attendance is required every time a student makes a festival, like Jazz All-State, regular All-State. These are 3-day conferences. We are required to stay at a hotel as part of our contract with the state association as part of our supervisory responsibilities. So that is money that is put aside for that. On the different supplies, general music for middle school and high school, that accommodates anything from sheet music for the different groups, and there are a lot of different groups, okay, and the choruses and the bands, the jazz groups, the multiple bands, as well as, you know, anything from drumsticks and mallets. A pair of vibraphone mallets, $64 a pair. You know, and in our pit for the marching band, you know, we have 5 mallet instruments out there. So, you know, and drum heads, you know, and oftentimes, you know, you don't replace one drum head. You have to do the set, you know, so everything can be matched up. And things of that nature. We don't replace those every year, but when the time comes, we need to do that, timpani heads and all that kind of stuff. And then we have the elementary, again, sheet music and classrooms, all kinds of supplies, and whether, you know, posters and charts and things of that nature. And then I think that's pretty much it. And then dues and fees, the $3,000 over in dues and fees on page 64 would be for the students who make All-State. This is their registration fee, or any of the festivals that we participate in, whether it be the Clark Terry Festival at UNH, or the Berkeley Jazz Festival in Boston, or, again, All-State, or Jazz All-State, or the Chamber Festival that they have in January of every year, all these different festivals. We always go over budget there because we just have a lot of success with our students that audition, so, but I think keeping it there is just fine, and we can deal with that. The uniforms we already talked about, and then transportation for the middle school and the high school students. And we do get a good deal when it comes to transportation. So we are comped often for the band, which is a great thing, because when we travel, we're 9 buses in a truck. We are, think about that. We come down to, we go to an away game, and we look, 9 buses in a truck. Yeah, so, I don't know if I have,
Music text, too.
yes, and the music text that we are requesting this year is to complete the set. Last year for the elementary school, we ordered, thanks to the approved budget, we're able to order music textbooks for the elementary school for grades 1, 3, and 5. We didn't have enough to do the whole package, so this year we're requesting for grades 2 and 4, which will complete the series for all 3 schools, and that's the total of $20,000 is what we're looking for there. Because we need 5 sets of books. We have 2 elementary teachers at South, 2 elementary teachers at Matthew Thornton, and 1 at North School, although there's some, a little bit of overage there now, 1.2 or whatever it is. So, and that's to justify, completing the set. Anyways, that's basically it, and I hope.
You better get me off the hook, because
Go
I
ahead.
think it's in Sue Ballard's budget, is your karaoke machine. I'm not about to attempt to explain why we've got a karaoke machine in there, so go right ahead.
Well, first of all, it was a surprise when I heard about it, but then when I did hear about it, I thought, great. And I'll tell you why, because I have walked into classes where we would borrow or rent. Sometimes we've rented a karaoke machine, and to see students, choral students, get, take a microphone and get in front of a monitor and sing in their comfort zone songs that they know, songs that are fully orchestrated, okay? And you should see how animated and how good they are. They really get into this. And this really develops a lot of show business, it develops self-confidence. It's musically, it's impressive to see these kids get into this thing. And I think it'd be awesome to do that, because I just think that, there's so many educational benefits, and the peers learn from watching them, and it motivates them, yeah, I'm gonna do it next, and next thing you know, everybody wants to do a song, and they do group songs and all kinds of things, and it's just a real, I'm not saying it's part of a daily lesson plan, but there are often times in a school year where this could be a really good thing to develop soloists, solo capabilities, and I think it's kind of a great idea. Next year, we're going to ask one for each school. I'm just kidding.
And just for the board's information, the textbooks that Andy was talking about are in Mark's budget, and when he gets to it, it's on page 400. It's the second phase, as Andy had mentioned, of the implementation of the new music text. So it'll be on page 400.
Thank you.
And thanks for getting me off the hook on the karaoke machine.
Questions from the board? See no questions? Jay?
I'm just trying to get some pages, and I apologize, I'm focusing, 158 and 159, where we list new equipment, and then rationale for new equipment. And then when I go to page 164, under new equipment, I see the line is 0.
That equipment is included in the lease, Jay.
Capital lease.
Oh, okay.
Capital lease, right? Right. So when we get to, each of the budget directors, when they go through, will mention particular pieces of equipment, some of which will be included in the budget, others will be included in the lease. When we get to the lease, we'll just walk you right through. Okay?
Thanks.
Good question.
Any other questions? Michael?
Real quick, the recording equipment, is that in the lease also?
Yes.
Okay. Just immediately, I thought of the cable studio, so educate me as to whether they do or don't have the type of recording equipment you're talking about.
Right, we're talking,
Thinking
this,
of a tape recorder.
this includes, Mike, It's a digital interface. It includes a mixing board, 8-channel mixing board. And it includes software to do recording. It's not including the computer. We have a computer. We can, make all that happen. It includes microphones for the drum kit. It includes a condenser microphone to grab the whole, grab the sounds of the whole group. And it also incorporates some of the stuff that we already have. So it's not all fresh stuff. This is stuff that we would use to. Because we're making CDs now, and we know if we had the quality, that, and this isn't, I don't think, a big deal, because you all know that recording equipment can get real expensive fast. I think this is a nice, modest approach to get a fairly respectable, a first-class recording.
Yeah, some people might just think that that exists at the cable studio, and if it doesn't, that's, what I was looking for. And the other question was, and this is just a mental note, as I'm getting older here, the high school transportation, last year's budget was 6,500. Am I correct in that used to be 10,000? Do you remember that at all?
I don't remember, but
Right.
we know this will take care of it.
Right, I remember we discussed the 10,000, and it looks like you were able to do okay with the 6,500, and we're still getting a good deal.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great
Yes.
to hear.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tom, can you speak into the mic, please?
Sure.
So, thank you.
Why couldn't the cable studio buy the
Why couldn't
karaoke
they?
machine and your recording equipment, and you could lease it back at a fair price, of, let's say $1 or something?
I feel it's my obligation to make a proposal of what I think we need to operate, and so that's my part, and I think what I'd like to see is something that we don't have to, something that's there when we need it, whether it's, if we got a concert coming up, we don't have to worry about scheduling time and all that type of stuff. It's there when we need it, whether it's a student preparing for a college audition or whatever.
See, we found out yesterday that any reductions in the cable studio don't go to the general fund, so.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's not a bad way, that's not a bad idea to approach the cable
Is it a
studio
fixed
and find out.
Comcast?
And we,
Sure, they'll get through the year without
Um,
it.
Yeah, I think Tom's got a valid question. I
Okay.
think it's certainly worth approaching
Yeah.
the town. Not that they would keep the equipment, I think we need the equipment here, but it's not dissimilar from what we house, cameras and that other big thing that they wheel around that really is the cable.
We have a meeting
Fun.
Thursday, and we can bring that issue up.
Add that, I think it's
Karaoke
worthwhile
machine.
adding to the
Yeah.
agenda.
You bet.
Or
Yeah.
two.
I think thanks,
That's
Tom.
great.
Then they could have a musical hour on local access for the music.
Maybe we can get them to buy the karaoke machine, Tom.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Mike?
Athletics starts on page 145.
Valid point.
Good evening.
Good evening and
I'd like to
goodbye.
take this opportunity to thank the members of the board for all of their support in the past 7 years, and I must say that, I'm going to miss this process very much in the future, and I'm available as a substitute. If you'd like to compensate me, I'd come back and help you out. That's it. Any questions?
Talk about a lame
I would like to say that I wish I could level fund this budget, but we've done as best we could in all of the angles here. With the game officials, every year, they go up $2 on their fees, and, for instance, a football game, you have 5 officials at, $78, $78, it's almost $400. It's the same with security at games, and you have 3 police officers at a football game, with a 4-hour minimum, $48 an hour. It's expensive. And these are expenses that, we like to try to plan for, but they're a necessary evil. We are going to level fund the middle school officials for this year, because there are a lot of middle school games that were only one official, and we don't have the 2 official fee to cover those. The high school officials will be increasing some. The athletic trainers' fee is increasing by, I believe, $1,250. This is for a contracted athletic trainer, an extra athletic trainer for the program that enables us to spend more time in weight training, strength and conditioning, and injury reduction with our other trainer. And this has been very beneficial. Our injury rate is significantly lower than it was 3-4 years ago. Rentals have increased on a yearly basis, pretty much for ice time, for as well as our swim time at the workout club. We're trying to keep that in line as much as we possibly can. Word of caution in the future: we've started with our ski program, the Nordic skiing this year. Eventually, that's going to be a cost that this department is going to have to control as well as support. This year, the kids are going to do that, and I'm not sure where that's going to go. I know we have 17 boys and girls that have signed up for the Nordic skiing, and they do have a six meet schedule for this year in Division I. The general supplies at the middle school is increasing by $500 with moving the cost of medical supplies over. The high school has always covered the cost of medical supplies for both, but moving the $500 over this year, medical supplies to the middle school, and level funding the general supply at the high school. Replacement equipment, we budgeted $400 for the middle school, just for anticipated expenses, broken equipment that needs repair. At the high school, it's increased this year, replacement equipment, because we feel that we need to start supporting the weight room replacement equipment. The weight room is used by just about every sport, in season as well as out of season, and it's also used by your physical education classes during the day. Some of this equipment needs to be replaced on a yearly basis, and we're asking for $1,500 to do that. Dues and fees have increased marginally at the middle school. The NHIA increased by about $600 unannounced this year for the annual fees. Plus, we've gotten every coach certified in first aid CPR, as well as the coach's ethics course that the NHIA offers. So everyone is in order, and we're all current and up to date. Transportation has been a nightmare with lack of drivers. They've got the equipment, and most times they don't have the drivers. You know, we've leased for a month. We leased 2 minibuses this fall, which helped us significantly.
Can
And
you
it-
stop there, Kobe?
Yes, sir.
Are they meeting their commitments in our contract on busing?
You got scheduling, you got 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 going out.
Okay, but they're meeting their contractual agreement.
Yeah, it just, we just have so many games going on at the same time.
Okay.
But keep in mind, when it's not a double booking of expenses. In other words, when he's renting the van, we're not paying, whatever that.
No, not, that's not my question, is we,
Let's clear to people that you went to the end, you're not paying for the trip, so I wouldn't say it's a wash, but it's not, you're not paying for the van, you also would have been paying for the trip, but you're not paying for that.
okay, thank you.
That's it. Other questions?
Steve?
Yes, Steve?
It's a, in here you talk about the, we are also adding alpine skiing in 2007, 2008.
Yes.
I remember when we added wrestling, in my first year, I think, on the board. When you say we are also adding alpine skiing, are you asking to add it, or?
No, we've already approved it. We approved it last spring as a club.
As a club?
Correct.
As a club.
No,
Okay.
no
It's not
cost.
in here yet.
No.
Thank you, right,
Okay.
so
And if they want it, they will go by the same,
Come here,
they would come before us like the wrestling people?
well, time out for a second, it's a new sport. They would have to go to the voters of the town, similar to this, to the thing.
Hockey's an example.
Hockey's an example.
put it on as a volleyball sport.
It would be a warrant article that the town would have to approve.
Right.
Okay,
And it would come to this board and would then be put on to the ballot?
right, they submit a petition.
It would be a petition on that.
Okay.
We did one 2 years ago with,
We did ice hockey.
Volleyball, swimming,
Boys volleyball 2 years ago.
Is that what it was? Yeah, I knew it was a couple of years ago.
yeah.
Ron,
Yes, sir.
Dan has.
Dan?
Kobe, can we talk about security for a minute? Why do we provide, which is fine, but why do we limit security to 3 sports? Or how do we determine what the security detail will be?
It's usually,
Why
it's
not-
usually,
Why not lacrosse or field hockey or,
it's usually security for night games. You know, just
so hockey?
hockey. The
not night
rink, the rink is a
They require that?
requirement, yeah.
We have to have 4?
No, for hockey is just 1.
Oh, okay.
You know, we'll do football with 4.
I understand that. And soccer, I understand.
Soccer, we'll do 1, if it's a night game. If it's a late afternoon game, a 4:30 game, we won't have it.
Okay.
But it also depends on, the particulars of the game. If it's a playoff game, and there's anticipation of a large crowd,
Whoa.
Yeah, we had last year with a playoff game with Pinkerton in soccer. I had 2
No,
police
Peter,
officers
don't move it
for
away, that's the problem.
I guess, Kobe, my question is, you mentioned that, a game lasts 3 hours, but we have a 4-hour minimum in the contract with the police department?
Yes.
Okay. So, but soccer is a 1-hour contract or 2, it's still a 4-hour,
4 hours. If the game lasts 15 minutes, it's a 4-hour commitment.
soccer doesn't last 3
No.
hours, but,
But, you're
Okay.
an hour and a half, 2 hours.
how about hockey?
Hockey
hours, too.
is about the same, hour and a half,
So it's per our agreement or contract with the,
with the local police department, yeah.
if I may, I think it's the other way around. I think on
I'm
the
just asking.
contract, I know, in the contract, from the police contract, a special detail has a 4-hour minimum. So when we contract Officer Dan Beaver for a special detail for a game, it's under those guidelines of a detail, 4-hour minimum, I believe.
Yeah, that's
Not-
correct. No, that's correct.
Okay, does it have to be a police officer?
I'm sorry, Ron, I didn't hear what you said.
Does it have to be a police officer? Can it be security?
private security?
Sure, private security service.
I'd have to ask, but I think there are I think the local police have authorities there present that a security organization wouldn't have. Arresting or, booking, obviously, first things come into mind if it happens. So,
Yeah, but you would call, if you had that problem, you would call the officers, 911 on that situation. Just a curious question, it's,
My question was centered around the 4 hours. I didn't really realize that was in the
Right, I think it's there.
the
right?
union.
It's their bargaining
Not
agreement.
ours.
Yeah, that's Londonderry. Now, if you go to
That
ice
was my
hockey, it's gonna
question.
be a different police department, right?
Salem might be
Right.
3-hour minimum.
Salem could
No,
be
that
different.
was my
Same,
question.
Yeah.
Generally
Like
4
we-
hours.
is it usually, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd imagine the
It-
police
it's-
all have pretty much
It
the
de-
same.
A lot of it depends on the jurisdiction. Example, when we have the prom in Manchester, the people that provide the police, it's the Manchester Police, not the Londonderry
Okay,
Police.
I'm okay with it. I was just asking for clarity when you said a 4-hour minimum, and albeit these games nowhere near last that long. So,
That's right.
okay, I just didn't understand. Thank you.
Ben?
In rough numbers, how many participants in ice hockey?
40. There are 20 in JV, 20 in varsity.
And in swimming?
Swimming, we have close to 40. Between 35 and 40.
And we have 1,600 individual students participating in either middle school or high school athletics.
16, well, if you break it out to individuals, it's about 900.
900.
Yeah, but others, some of them play multiple sports. The 1,600 spots if you add all of the sports together, the teams together.
Thank you.
Kobe, can I get a 5-year plan on replacement equipment similar to the uniform contract?
Yeah, I do have that, Ron.
Okay. Also, as I look at the uniform equipment, I look at some of the numbers and it doesn't make sense to me on some of the stuff here. And just because parents pinged on me, I see baseballs in FY 2009, and I know the shirts out there on the sub-varsity teams are ripped. There's ripped shirts on other sports there on the sub-varsity. This appears to be only a varsity, and when I asked for this back in June, I was looking, how are we going to supply all the teams at the school? It's not only the varsity teams, it's how are we supplying all the teams at the school here for uniforms, not that the sub-varsity teams, I mean, some of the uniforms on some of the sports here are disgraceful. So I'd like the uniform replacement reworked to show what we're doing for all levels there. You take care of the middle school teams, and I'm just wondering about the other teams at the high school.
You want us to rework this and come back?
How are you, I guess the question I'm asking is this going to supply all the teams at the high school?
No.
Okay. How are we going to do that? Or what's the plan of the district to supply all the teams?
Traditionally, Ron, we've supplied the varsity teams and moved the varsity stuff down to the sub-varsity groups. Case in point, this year, we had to buy all new soccer uniforms for boys and girls because what we did have at the lower levels, it was a disgrace. So we moved the varsity uniforms down to the sub-varsity and purchased new varsity uniforms. But
Okay, so.
there are circumstances where we will, funnel money into the sub-varsity rather than the varsity.
I guess what I'm asking then is, give me your plan. If soccer made a step that you did it that way, tell me how you're doing it for the rest of the sports.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You all set?
Yes, sir.
Kobe, have you been approached sometime in the future with any other people interested in any additional clubs? Alpine skiing be the most recent, you're right, last spring or whatever it was we approved. But has there been anybody else in town talking about any other type clubs that we're not?
There has been mention, this was 2 years ago, about crew. I know Manchester Central has crew, Concord has it. There's also mention of, and I'm not sure if this would, equestrian. As a matter of fact, they had an organizational meeting about a month ago to see what the interest would be in an equestrian team.
But just for everybody's edification, and it's mentioned earlier, there's been a number of programs, I've been here for a while, that each and every one was started as a club, and it's to those individual that would go out, we approve the club, it doesn't cost us anything. Then they go out and do fundraising, support their own petition warrants, and then once it's approved by the voters, it gets put into the budget.
That's correct.
As So we've done that for a number of programs. So I was just curious if there was potentially any more on the foreseeable horizon, so.
Yeah, but other than the Alpine, well, I was asking the number of participants in ice hockey because we're going down for $800 a head in ice hockey. And that's, I mean, there's got to be some sense of proportionality.
Yeah.
That sport did not come in at $800 a head. It's creeped up. I mean, I'm not saying 800 is too much or not enough, but it's disproportionate to what we spend for soccer or baseball or for football. Now, I don't know what Alpine's going to run, but I don't think I'm interested in a sport that runs $1,000 per head. I mean, there's got to be some reasonableness test to that.
Well, Ben, that said, that's the budget, but if you look at hockey and swimming, you go out and rent the facilities. If you're looking at it from a true cost standpoint, you have to take into account all the fields that we put in to support baseball, some lacrosse.
Right.
I mean, there's certainly a cost of fields, but some of these programs have to, we could go out and rent or build a ice rink, and that cost would go down. But remember, that cost is reflected in the rental of the facility as well.
the other thing too is when ice hockey started was just a varsity team. And now we have a JV team as well. You
I mean,
know,
I hear what
with a
Ben's
full
saying,
schedule.
but I think the majority of the cost is in the facilities.
You know, and then we've also added freshman girls soccer. We've added freshman softball in the past 3 years.
Well, if you run the number back the other way, if you have 900 students and you're spending $800 a student, so that's $720,000 a year. If you were to spend $800 per head, I haven't looked at what it costs us to run those fields, but maybe it does cost that much. I don't know.
Any other questions? Questions from the Budget Committee? Mike?
Yeah, just one quick one. On the uniforms, I don't suppose you get all these from one vendor. Do you have to go to different places to get different uniforms, or do you have one place you can go to?
No, we get them from different places, and a lot of times the coaches will make recommendations as to, you know, the style that they want, or the make, or the, you know, I want Adidas, or I want, you know, I don't care what I want, you know, so then I'll go locally, and you know, the price is more palatable.
Yeah, I was just, you know, I know it's only $20,000, but I was just wondering if there was an efficient way to get uniforms. It doesn't jump out at me, so that's why I was asking if that's the best way or not. I don't know.
Tom?
Just a question on transportation costs. From your current year budget, you're only up 2.5%. I imagine, if anything, you probably got more trips than last year, so how do you do that, given the rise in gas prices?
Oh, don't forget.
No, actually, you know, we also have 2 school vans that we send, you know, the smaller teams in, you know, like your golf teams, you know, JV and varsity golf teams. We'll take those vans, the minibuses that we leased, you know, help to, you know, to supply some of the teams. So we're doing the best things that we can do to try to keep the cost.
I'm not
you know.
questioning that, I'm
Sure.
questioning, is that adequate, and what's your budget?
Yeah, because don't forget, the bus contract doesn't have a fuel escalation clause. Those prices are fixed.
Okay.
That was part of the contract that we put in.
When'd you sign it, though?
I think we're on the 3rd year. 3 years ago? It's a fixed amount each year, whether gas prices go up or gas prices come down. We pay, say, $37,000 for regular rate buses for the year, period.
Peter, I guess the real question he's asking, when's the contract due again?
Yeah, 'cause I think he's gonna make it up next time.
At least 2 years, and it's good for 2 more after that, so. There's 2 more, and then it's 2 for 2 option years after that.
He files for chapter 11.
They're running it on biodiesel, Tom.
No, I mean, they've hedged all that out. That's why they can do that.
Any other questions from Budget Committee, from the board? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the audience this evening? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Guys,
See
thank
you
you.
here on Thursday night.
Yeah, thank you for your attention.